What is good, team? Welcome back to the channel to another Texas training vlog. So I said to you guys that I was going to show you all the cool gyms that we're training at, and we're kind of making it like, you know, an effort to go and try some cool gyms. So this actually being one of the newest gyms that's just opened here in Austin. It's about 20-30 minutes from where we're staying. And when I tell you guys this place is massive, I'm not kidding. Like the gym that we trained at last week, you guys saw, this like doesn't even compare. It's mental. And even just in terms of the equipment, I'm just looking out here now and I'll show you guys exactly what equipment they have. But there is like Atlantis, there is Cybex, I believe there's a bunch of Panada stuff. I'm gonna have to go for a walk because this place is freaking huge. So I'm gonna show you exactly what we're doing today. We're kicking off, it's basically day one of this microcycle. So we're doing like an 8-day rotation where I'm kind of having 5 training sessions spread across 8 days where I do have extra rest days just to improve my recovery capacity. So this being session 1 of microcycle 2, kicking off with day 1 pull, which is basically pull, delts, and I believe some biceps. So I'm gonna try and not get too excited because there is some very cool stuff here. So I'm gonna train within my program, but I might just use some other variations, just depending on what's here and what's available. But it's pretty quiet and there is so much equipment. So I just wanna show you guys for reference how crazy this gym is. Let's have a look. So you can see how big it is. I think it's broken up into different sections. There's like a dumbbell free weight section. There's a bunch of like leg stuff here. All the back stuff is over there. So I think based on today's session, we're probably gonna get a lot of steps into just trying out different equipment and just checking it out. So anyway, I'm gonna finish my drink. And side note, not sponsored by C4, and this is not a plug by any means, but holy shit, C4 grape, if you haven't tried it, is like grape hubba bubba. It's mental. Anyway, I'm gonna finish this, do some warm-ups, and then get stuck into today's session. All right, so we're kicking off exercise 1, unilateral pull down, and I just scoped this out. If you guys can see that. The Nitro Evo single arm pull down is probably one of my favorite unilateral pull down machines. You don't find them in very many gyms. So a couple of working sets here. Gabby's jumping in with me. I'm gonna kind of follow her session a little bit. We both kind of have the same exercises to kick off, but we're just gonna change the order on this. So I'm gonna do single arm first, then we're gonna go on the chest supported row second. So I'm gonna show you guys what we're doing here. All right, so 2 working sets here of the single arm lat pull down. And a couple of tips for you guys. If you do want to grow a bigger, wider back, I would urge you to start your pull sessions with a lat isolation movement. The single arm pull down being a great variation you can utilize. So a couple of cues for you guys to get the most out of it. I want you to think about staying locked in place. Don't rotate your torso too much and don't let yourself stretch all the way out of position just to get more range of motion. Think about keeping locked in that position where the lats can fully stretch, arm just comes overhead, and then as you come back down, don't think about yanking it with your biceps. Pull it down where you're aiming to drag the elbow down towards your back pocket and get a really deep contraction in the bottom position. So you'll notice when I do this, I'm not swinging, I'm not using tons of momentum. I'm thinking about a big loaded stretch at the top under the load. And then as I get to the bottom, I'm actually contracting my lat in that bottom position. And I would argue, if you can't stretch it at the top, if you can't get all the way to the bottom and get a deep, meaningful contraction in that position, the load is too heavy and you're not going to get as much stimulus from that exercise compared to if you just lighten the load and really focus on the contraction. All right, exercise number 2, chest supported row. So again, I said we're in a cool gym, there's some cool equipment here, and I've never actually seen one of these in person. I've only seen them on like social media, people posting about it, mostly in the US because they kind of don't exist anywhere else. So this is the Mega Mass incline lever row. It's actually a chest supported row. So I'll show you guys how this looks. It's crazy looking contraption. It's massive, but it's actually very cool. This is probably gonna be my last warm-up set, and then I'll do a working set, but I'll show you guys how it looks on the warm-up set anyway. back portion done onto some delts. 2 sets of re-delt flies on the Atlantis re-delt fly machine. I've actually never used this one. It's really nice. 2 sets, 10 to 15 reps here, and then we're onto the Atlantis seated lateral raise machine. So again, any opportunity I have to use some cool machines, I'm going to do so. So I've done a couple warm-up sets here. Typically, you know, the deeper I get into my workout, I only need to do 1 or 2 warm-up sets, and then I'm straight into my working load. So this probably being pretty close to my working load to really isolate my re-delts. Oh, 15 reps there. So just like a quick point with rear delt flies specifically, I find it's one of those movements that you don't need to go very heavy. I see far too many people trying to lift way too heavy, when in reality you don't need a lot of load. It's a very, very small muscle group. It's a very isolated exercise. So you need enough stimulus that you can get a really, really meaningful contraction into the rear delts and not much else. Because odds are, if you're trying to lift too heavy, you're just moving load from A to B indiscriminately with no kind of regard for your rear delts. And oftentimes you'll find that like other muscles or ancillary muscles will just take over. So you end up just pulling with your biceps, you end up just using your upper back, and pretty much everything else except your rear delts. So if you do want to get the most out of your rear delt flies, drop the load a little bit, really focus on stretching the rear delts as much as you can, contracting the rear delts as hard as possible, and just using enough load to get you within a close proximity of failure, somewhere in that 10 to 20 rep range. So just a quick side note, if you're a brand whore like me, this place is fucking crazy. I've never seen more Atlantis equipment in a gym this size in my entire life. And you know, obviously being an Australian, Atlantis equipment is so few and far between. Just because it comes from Canada, it's so far to get to Australia. And it's so expensive. So kudos to this gym, man. This is crazy. I've only ever used this machine once, and it was actually at Eugene Tio's gym, in private gym actually in Melbourne, who ironically had the most Atlantis equipment I've ever seen in Australia. But this being the chest-supported Atlantis lateral raise, super, super directly focused to the lateral delts. You cannot cheat. You can't do anything other than train your lateral delts. So I've got 2 working sets here. I've done my warm-up sets. I'm going to jump into my work set now, show you guys how this looks, around 10 to 15 reps. Delts are toast. 2 sets lateral delts, 2 sets rear delts. Onto biceps. So a total of 3 working sets for biceps. But if we account for about half a working set per set of back, we had 4 sets of back. So we've got 2 sets for biceps or indirect bicep work. So across the session, about 5 sets of biceps, which most people would scoff at and be like, oh my God, that's such a low training volume for biceps. But when you really nail your execution and you take your sets within a close proximity of failure, you don't need a lot, because I'm probably only hitting like around 10 sets of biceps for the week. My biceps are pretty fucking good at the moment, so I'm very happy. Anyway, There's a cool Cybex incline curl, sort of Bayesian curl type setup that I'm going to use here for this one. And then probably just a cable for my arm abducted curl for, like I said, 3 total working sets for those 2 exercises. All right, so there was the incline machine curl over there that I tried, and I really wanted to like it, but it sucks. There's just no length and stretch. There's no tension in the bottom at all. It kind of drops off at like 90 degrees, so you're basically just getting all short position, which I don't want. I want a little bit of stretch. I want a full range of motion. So, kind of wandered around, got a few extra steps in, and this is the beauty of these core gyms, man. You just find stuff you didn't even know was here when you first looked. So, this being one of the Cybex dual pulley cable stacks, it does have the back support. So, if you want to do like a Bayesian curl, obviously they're a fantastic exercise. I've posted about it a million times on my TikTok, on my YouTube, on my Instagram, everywhere. One of the main concerns when it does start getting heavy is just the ability to balance, because obviously the weight's pulling you back and you have to lean forward. This one, it's got the back support there, so you can literally have it in the small of your back or your upper back and just literally lean. So for me, I can load it up, I can lean, I can keep my shoulders pulled back, and I'm literally just flexing at the elbow to maximize tension in the biceps here. So fantastic exercise. 2 working sets here, 10 to 12 reps, somewhere in that range. All right, so we are onto our last bicep movement, 1 working set here of the arm abducted curls. Now I find like most machines don't have that hammer strength like MTS curl. So this is a great way to set it up. So if you do want to train that bicep in a more shortened position, easy enough to just set up an incline bench, set up at a cable just about head height, and you're basically just using that bench as an arm support to really get that bicep in a short position. So 1 set, 10 to 15 reps here. Show you guys how this looks. Alrighty, that is pull done. So what I've been doing throughout the week, I've basically got abs on 2 sessions, calves on 2 sessions, cardio twice a week. So basically I've just been rotating between those. I'll do abs and calves one day, I'll do cardio the other day, and on my leg day I'm basically just doing legs because legs destroys me. So to wrap up this pull session, 2 working sets, 8 to 12, 10 to 15, somewhere in there, standing calf raise. I'm not going to change the variation too much because at the gym we normally train at, we just have a standing calf raise, so I'm just going to do standing calf raise here just to try and mimic exactly what I'm doing every other week. Load selection might be a little bit different. I think this weight stack's actually a bit heavier. The Atlantis one is quite heavy. So with that being said, enjoy some calf porn while I get some calves done. God, I must be good at predicting loads. That was bang on, like 1 RR for 15 reps. That thing's fucking heavy. Alrighty guys, that is us wrapped up, calves done, 2 sets there, 10 to 15 reps standing calf raise. And that wraps up today's pull, I guess, delts, biceps and calf session at probably one of the craziest gyms I've ever been to, just for reference, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Mental. And I say that every gym we go to, because every time we go to a new gym, it's even more mental than the last one. So, I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Make sure you do like, comment, share, most importantly, subscribe to the channel. And let me know if there's any other cool gyms in Texas that I should go check out while we're here for another couple of months. But until next time, guys, peace.